such risks.
Yes.
Because it can be sublime, and one tiny thing can go wrong, and it turns into the most absurd thing in the world.
Yes.
There's a book out for which I wrote a preface called Great Operatic Disasters, which is rather a thin book. It should really, there's room for many more disasters. And disasters can be produced by the slenderest of things, like in the Hamburg opera. The Germans are tremendously efficient, as you know. And it was, I think, Siegfried or somewhere where he dies at the end, and one of the extras was ill. And so the stage manager said, Schultz, you're on tonight. Me? Not tonight. It's Siegfried. You're on. Hammer is ill tonight. You're on in his place. Schmidt, show Schultz what to do. It's quite simple. You just go on, you pick up the body, and you walk out. Only don't laugh. This is solemn. Well, he understood that. The music built up tremendous climax. The two men said, we don't have to rehearse. It's quite easy. They had a beer. When their cue came, they both went out, and they both picked up the body facing each other. Then put it down, and both turned outwards, and it was finished. There's no other art form in which this is so simple.
Has it ever happened to you while you've been a spectator? Have you ever seen any of these sort of famous gaffes at all?
Well, I did a disastrous production of Don Quixote at the Paris Opera, and I had 4 windmills. The back one was working perfectly because it had a very small and therefore very intelligent man in it. And the windmill was going round. The next one had a much larger and much denser man, and it was turning very much more slowly. The third one had 2 men in it that didn't get on politically. And the thing was quite uncertain. And the one in front had an electric motor, which suddenly on the first night went into reverse. So the wind was blowing in a different direction. Well, this was absolute disaster, of course.
But when it works, now that's the funny side of opera, when it works, is it the one art form that gives you the most profound pleasure to observe working?
Not always, because I'm not involved in it that deeply. And because for somebody that works in the theater, it's already a kind of compromise. Because you get different kinds of singers in this age. In the old days, like actors, they were all of the same sort of style. But now you've got an enormous mixture. You've got singers that can sing but can't act very well. You've got singers that can act but can't sing very well. You've got young and enthusiastic people that can do both. They very often come from America or from smaller countries, and they're so full of enthusiasm, they say, you want me to play this topless? And it's something that you hadn't dared make the suggestion. You thought in your dreams, my God, if only we could. And there she is saying, I'm willing to rehearse topless. You know? And then you have other ones that can neither sing nor act, and you've got to try and mix all this into something incredible. It's sometimes very difficult, but it's very rewarding when it works. And of course, suddenly the music gallops to the rescue, whatever happens.
Yes.
And you have a damn good time.
Yes.
No, I think it's a marvelous thing.
Of that category, the 4 categories you listed there, where would you put our next guest?
I'd put him right on the top because he already defies every rule by being an extremely intelligent tenor. He also is a man who conducts very well, who has opinions which are frightfully interesting about everything, and who expresses these opinions in a voice which is beyond compare. So I think he's a fine man.
Well, you should have done the introduction, not me, right? All right, then, well, let's get on with it. Let's meet the man we were talking about. Now, if Lear is one of the great testing roles for an actor, then there's no doubt that for the operatic tenor, the challenge is Verdi's Otello. It's been called the opera of operas, the role of roles. It's been described as the Everest of tenor roles, and only a handful of singers have given even a satisfactory account of this demanding role. Well, next week at Covent Garden, the man acknowledged to be the Othello of his generation, someone once described as a velvet voice and an iron physique, will sing the role for the first time in Britain. In a moment, we'll talk about this and other things, but first, let us hear the marvelous voice of Placido Domingo.
Mentre preso dal delirio non so più quel che dico e quel che faccio e pur che l'uomo sforzati va giubba e la faccia in farina, la gente paga per ridere cuore se arricchir in buona colombina, ridi Pagliaccio e ognuno applaudirà, tramuta in latti la spasmo di pianto, in una smorfia del singhiotto e il dolor, ridi Pagliaccio, sul tuo amore impreda, ridi del cuore che t'appereda il cor.
That was beautiful, really beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Yes. How do you have to limber up before you do something like that with your voice?
Always, you know, I think that at least I cannot start singing if I wasn't screaming a little bit before, you know.
Scream.
Well, let's say it's scream, vocalize, you know.
Yes.
Peter knows very good and very well how to vocalize, I'm sure.
No.
But I tell you, one of the most difficult things is, for me, I prefer to sing a whole opera from beginning to end than just try to get in the mood of singing an aria. Because then you have to concentrate, and that's most of the time the aria is the great moment of the opera. So you have to think ahead, and it's very difficult to concentrate and to get into the character. So it's a lot more difficult, and especially when you know that millions of people are watching you, you know.
Yes.
It's a lot more exposed than in the theater.
Let's talk about the Othello, which you're putting on Tuesday, aren't you? You start on Tuesday at Covent Garden. The first time you've sung it, in fact, in this country. Is it your favorite role, Placido?
Absolutely.
It is. Why is that?
Absolutely. Well, because it combines first of all, two geniuses, being Shakespeare and Verdi, or Verdi and Shakespeare, wherever you want to put it, whatever way you want to put it in. For me, strange enough, as great as it is, the play, I'm used now to see it with the music, you know. It's always, I always hear the music, even when I go to see the play, It's the most demanding role for acting and singing together. It's so demanding, the acting, then as difficult as is the singing, sometimes I forgot about the singing.
Really?
Because I have to get so much concentration on the acting, then sometimes I realize when I finish, I say, I just finished Otello. And Othello, I should say, yes, no, Otello. But that's the feeling, you know, when I feel really that it has been really a performance, then I could really get concentrated and I can really get all the feelings. I don't think about the singing.
Yes.
And that's the marvelous thing about this role, you know.
Yes. But for somebody who knows little about opera, what makes it such a difficult singing part for someone like yourself? I mean, what is it? Is it the range of it, or
it is a range. It is the second act of Othello. It has been called as an opera by itself. The second act, you have to really measure your strength, because from the beginning of the act to the end, it's really such strenuous. Saying sorry, I think I am going to take little water after Pagliacci.
Yes. And does it put a tremendous strain on your voice?
Yes, it does, and really, after you finish the second act, as difficult as it is the third, you say, well, it's done.
Yes.
It's done. So the third and the fourth act, you can enjoy it. But the difficult point is really to arrive to the end of the second act fresh.
Is there a limit to the number of times you can perform it in any one year, would you say?
I have decided I won't do any more than a number between 10 or 12 performances in a year. Because it really takes very much out of my strength. And also, it's more emotionally than vocally, actually, because the role has helped me to feel vocally better for lighter roles. It's, you know, something that I find I haven't found yet the answer, but I feel much better in lighter roles now than I sing Otello.
Really?
Yes. But I think 10 or 12 is enough, you know, and I try not to do more than 5 at a time.
And how many operas do you perform in a normal year altogether?
About between 70 and 75 performances.
That's a lot, isn't it?
A lot, yes. It's every 3 days.
You're Spanish, of course, aren't you? And it's not really renowned, is it, as a country that has a great love of opera. How did you start your musical education? I mean, where did your musical background come from?
I have my parents, they are singers too. They sing a music which is very close to the Spanish people, which is called zarzuela. The zarzuela is a marvelous little, let's say, serious musical comedies with some kind of drama in between, but it never gets as tragic as the opera. It always have a happy end. But in between, you know, you have the chance to really, have very dramatic moments, very sad moments, and so that's my first feeling for the opera. It was through the zarzuela, because there are some of the arias and duets, and they have very much the strength of the opera.
Yes.
In fact.
Yes. Could you demonstrate a little bit there? Is there anything particularly that you remember that?
Well, I could tell you, for instance, a line of an aria, you know, which goes. La roca fría del Calvario se oculta en negra nube desde un sendero solitario. So it has really a melody that is very, very operatic in the way. It has a very, almost a Puccini kind of inspiration.
You never trained, though, did you, to become an opera singer?
Well, I was being trained to do anything in the music. I used to play the piano, I used to do musical comedy, I used to sing zarzuela with my parents. So that way I get approached, you know, I get close to the opera. So then I went to see performances with Di Stefano. I have to say that I was born in Spain, but some people call me Spanish, some people call me Mexican, because I grew up in Mexico. And I like to say that I am both, because, you know, it is very, very much the beginning of my professional life, and I grew up in Mexico, so I feel very, very much both sides. So in Mexico, I was exposed to opera with performances of Di Stefano in those days, Siepi, Simeonato, Di Stefano, and Del Monaco. So that was my introduction to opera.
And you learnt by absorbing what they did?
Yeah. Absolutely, and I started doing small parts with Di Stefano, and he was quite an inspiration for me those days.
Peter, of course, is a frustrated opera singer. You know that,
It's no longer.
No longer, no?
Listen, I can...
Is he the right build for an opera singer, do you think?
Oh, yes.
1880.
1880. You know, yes, before, you know, the sopranos, they were really ideal, not only for Rubens, but also for being a soprano, you know. The sopranos, they were supposed to be on the robust side, which is not not anymore. You know, I have been on a diet also, because I have been very much time on the robust side, and I'm trying to trim. But I remember Peter singing, you know, I can never forget you singing in, I don't know the text, but
He's made a zarzuela out of it. That's the most Spanish bit of Nero I've ever heard.
Of Nero, yes, it's really Spanish, you know.
That's right.
And I remember, you know, that you were singing that. So I'm sure then it's a a potential. I guess if there's anything that Peter is not able to do, I'll be surprised.
We've not yet discovered it, that's for sure, yes.
But your zarzuelas, the women usually have very special voices. You can hear them sing.
El Placido Domingo.
Those were right, the old days. I tell you one thing. You are right. The thing I hate about the zarzuela, and I always discuss with my parents, is in between the zarzuela, as between the drama, it was always the comic couple. And the comic couple, they have, I mean, the voice that just Peter imitate now, I mean, it will be fantastic. They have the most incredible, awful sound, you know? When I start singing with my parents, I said, perhaps we can make, you know, some cuts here and there. I said, why they have to sing? They don't have voice. Say, yes, but it's the usual proceeding, you know. It has to be a comic side so that the drama is not that heavy. I said, well, let them talk, but stop the singing.
Did you ever really want to be an opera singer, though, Peter? Did you?
No, not really. I must say, I enjoy it. I love the attitude. And my son, curiously enough, looks as if he's a sculptor, but he looks as if he's going to become an opera singer now.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
He's at the conservatoire.
You never had any lessons or anything like that?
No, only in Rome I had for Quo Vadis, but that's another story. Only
Really?
3.
You had what, sorry?
3 lessons.
Really?
That's all Metro could afford, even in the heyday.
And they taught you what, how to breathe and things, did they?
Well, I had a very particular singer. I think I did it all for you before.
No, I don't remember at all.
Well, a professor in the Rome Opera House who said,
I'm only doing this because they pay the money and I've got a grandmother and I've got the bambini, sono lì.
I said, well, I'm doing it really for the same reason.
We understand one another. 3 lessons, I can teach you nothing. I can teach you nothing. 6 years I can teach, but the 3 lessons.
All right.
And first I will try and put all I teach in 2 years in 1 lesson.
I said, fine.
You must always remember in my system of singing to breathe with the forehead. Always breathe with the forehead. Breathe with the forehead.
So I tried to give the impression there was a pulse there. And at the end of the lesson he said,
Now, let me see whether you remember. Where must you breathe?
I said, with the forehead.
Fantastic. You remember it. Incredible. I could make you a singer in less than 6 years.
On the second lesson I write, he said,
Now you have forgotten what I told you last time.
I said, no. I've got to breathe with my forehead.
I've never seen anybody more. He said, now remember that you must think with your stomach. You have to think with the stomach.
And then he went on playing the piano. And then he said, now let me recapitulate with the end of the second lesson, see what you have remembered. You must think with... I said, no, with the stomach. Bravo! And you must breathe with the forehead.
The best talent I ever had.
And the last one, he said,
Now whatever you do, you remember to... And whatever happened, always what I tell all my pupils. Whatever happened, always sing with the eye.
so that's what I learned.
Good advice, Placido.
That will put us all out of business. God, man. No, it's just incredible, the different theories, you know, going around the world. Always you are approached by opera singers and they want to audition. And I used to take a lot of time to hear. But, you know, as soon as you hear 2 or 3, every time you arrive to a city, you know, you have 100 of people which they want to sing. Some of them, they don't have voices, but they believe they can do it. And the way, I mean, the things that they tell you about the teachers is just incredible.
Yeah.
So that might be one, you know.
Yeah. You, in fact, you served part of your apprenticeship, did you not, with the Hebrew opera company? I didn't realize that such an opera company existed, actually. But what kind of experience was that for you?
Oh, it was marvelous because I was there. I went first only for 6 months to, you know, I was starting to sing and I need experience. And And in Mexico, it was not too much to do. I was doing it, I did it, I don't know, 40 is too much, no, less than that. Yes, 40 performances in 4 years, something like that. And I said, well, this is not enough. So I went to Israel, and I planned to stay 6 months, and I stayed 2.5 years. And it was a very small opera house with, just young talent coming from all around the world. So we had the most polyglot opera company, really.
How many languages were used in?
Well, I was singing in the original. I only sing in Hebrew, Pearl Fishers, and strange enough, Eugene Onegin. You will say it better than me.
Evgeny
Onegin, you see? That's right. And, well, we have the most incredible performances because sometimes, we will start singing Rigoletto, and the soprano will sing in Hebrew, I will sing in Italian. So I say, addio, addio, speranza d'anima, shalom, shalom. And that was the least of the problems. Once we did Traviata, and it was a baritone there that was Hungarian, and he will sing in Hungarian. He said, he won't learn it in Hebrew. I said, Bob, he said, that's the original. I said, no, the original is Italian. I said, no, that's the original way I learned it. I said, so I will sing it in Hungarian. And a soprano came from Germany. She was singing in German, the baritone in Hungarian, the chorus in Hebrew, and I was singing in Italian. So that was incredible,
I think I can match that, because during the war, I heard the first performance ever of Beethoven's choral symphony with an Arabic choir.
An Arabic?
And the hymn to joy was one of the most joyous things I ever heard, because the conductor, it was a very incompetent performance, and they were,
أدور أسهري ضل وهتكلم وهدحي
Are you keen, Placido, to popularize opera? Because no matter what we might think about it, that it is has an elitist feel about it, certainly in this country. Do you have plans to sort of take it out to the people more, or what?
Well, my feeling is this. Not exactly opera. What I like is singing, and I like to bring, if I can, peace with my voice. That's my really the meaning for my career is to be able to have the people sitting in the theater, wherever there are 200, 300, 2,000, 25,000 in Verona, for instance, or millions in the television. In that moment, we were talking about politics, about tremendous world situation today, and so on. And in those 2 hours and a half, 3 hours, the people is just sitting near to each other, with no difference of color, religions, races, ideas. In those 3 hours, they are only in a communion with you. They are just thinking on what you are singing, and they are coming to enjoy the performance. So that's the meaning for me of career. Now, through the opera, I would like it also that it could go into more people, because I don't have anything against the modern music. On the contrary, I think it's necessary, but it's only one thing that it changed. The modern music, it changed the rhythms. Then it was, before it was the mambo, then it came the cha-cha-cha, then it was the rock and roll. Wherever, all the rhythms, they go and go and go. And whatever stays is the basic, is the music, because the classic music really goes deep into your soul. It goes, the people that has feelings and people that has love, they really have to love classic music. And so that's the way to call people that is not exposed to that music. So I sing also popular music.
You do?
I do it, and I do a lot of televised performances of opera, because putting together, maybe somebody will hear a performance and say, hey, I hear he sang that song, he can sing opera. Let's go to the opera, let's see what is the opera about, But I tell you, my main feeling is peace, And I'm very much with you also, Peter, with the UNICEF. I have been doing last year several concerts, and I don't think we can do enough,
No.
But are there no circumstances under which either of you as artists, as performers, would not appear in a country? Can you not think of any conceivable? It's all very well saying, we must build bridges, but surely there's got to come a time, hasn't there, where the one regime you reckon yourself is so evil as not to be contemplated.
So long as one is not acting under instructions.
Then
That I will not do under any circumstances. If somebody tries to prevent me from traveling where I want to by saying, you're a naughty boy to listen to them, you must only listen to us, then I will rebel.
Right.
And I don't care who knows it or who says it or whatever side it's on. Because these bridges are terribly important and somebody has to maintain them.
Right. Because the people ignore most of the things and they are going with politics and with wars. So you have to please the people.